So, ladies and gentlemen, today, as part of my ongoing series about systemic or abject racism in New Brunswick, we're going to be talking about probably one of the most racist and one issue self-centered associations in New Brunswick history. Now, this allegedly only lasted 2 years in New Brunswick in the 1980s, but I believe its remnants led to Poore and the People's Alliance and the Anglo Society of New Brunswick. Now, we're going to be talking about the New Brunswick Association of English Speaking Canadians. The name there should give it away. Now, the NBAEC, as I call it, was formed in 1984 at the instigation of Len Poore to oppose the flying of the Acadian flag on provincial government buildings on the occasion of the flag's 100th anniversary. The group focused most of its attention thereafter on opposing the proposal of the province's Poore-Bastarache report, which called for a considerable expansion of bilingualism. At its peak, Poore claimed that the organization had 9,000 members. I can say that's a complete lie. This association had very little support in the north of the province. So the 9,000 he's probably saying is from Miramichi, Woodstock, Carleton County, York County, the predominantly white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I think it had a couple of thousand members. I don't think it had 9,000 members. Just because people show up at a rally. They held a series of rallies in the Woodstock region when I was in college at NBCC Woodstock in the mid 60s, and I was glad to tear down their posters around town. But I know they had several hundred people at various rallies in Woodstock and throughout Carleton County. Now, according to Poore, great name for a leader, he asserted that the Poore-Bastarache report had upset the province's linguistic harmony, and he said that the province went on so well for so long before the provincial government decided to push ahead with more bilingualism. Basically saying, this province was right on until the French wanted to write. Anyway, now the negative reaction among Anglophones to the Poore-Bastarache report, combined with a generally positive reception among the province's Francophones, turned the recommendations into such a hot potato that the government was not ready for it. Uh, then Conservative Premier Richard Hatfield used the establishment of a set of advisory committee hearings as a stalling device. Now, the recommendation that seems to have caused the greatest amount of resistance among Anglophones, and therefore to have played the critical role in the transformation of Poore's organization from its original purpose to the bilingual issue, was the proposal that the provincial public service be made more open to Francophones, which basically meant Francophones in the province were predominantly served by unilingual Anglophones for years. 1984, ladies and gentlemen, the charter was just a couple of years in implementation. It wasn't really the law of the land yet, and they basically felt that to force the Anglophones to learn French or to bring in bilingual or unilingual French to work, especially in the north, was unfair to the system. But the system did need to change. Now, the association was a catalyst for change in what way? The Anglophones that really did not want bilingualism in New Brunswick under the Bastarache report talked at the polls. They were trying to convince Richard Hatfield to resign well before the election in '87. And what the Anglophones did, either they didn't vote for the Conservatives in the election, or they gave protest vote to the NDP or Liberals. And this is what happened, ladies and gentlemen. It destroyed Hatfield's legacy. It destroyed the PC party of New Brunswick because McKenna Liberals won 58 to nothing. It led to the rise of the Core Party, which Blaine Higgs, the current Premier of New Brunswick, ladies and gentlemen, tried for the leadership for in his initial convention, but it came down to the big three of Danny Cameron, Archie Pafford, and Brent Taylor. Now, the association was officially disbanded in '86 after the advisory committee had conducted hearings across the province to determine the public reaction to the Poore-Bastarache report. Now, I had talked to several members of the association back in the 80s as fun just to see what we were thinking. They saw the flag, the Acadian flag, as a rag. They saw it as a threat to Anglophone rights in New Brunswick, even though the majority of people at the time would fly the Acadian flag in mostly Francophone or bilingual sections of the province. Now, the Union Jack was being flown quite often. the Old Dominion flag was being flown. But for a lot of people, they believe that because the majority of people in New Brunswick were not Acadian or French, the Acadian should have no rights. At the time, I think the percentage was 30 to 35%, which is comparable to now. There's more English Acadians right now in New Brunswick than French Acadians because for a lot of English Acadians like me, also Métis Acadians, were predominantly English, but we don't seek out linguistic harmony because language doesn't matter to us because we can also speak French. We're all pretty well 70-30 or 60-40. But for an association to be created from a grassroots proposal to tell one group of people, should not showcase your willingness to fight for your rights. That's most racist. Now, in future podcasts, we'll be talking a little bit about the rise of the People's Alliance and the Anglo Society of New Brunswick. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite interesting. If you know nothing about New Brunswick and you're hearing this right now, we had the KKK from the 1920s, 30s on in limited amounts. Then the New Brunswick Association of English-speaking Canadians. Then the Core Party. Then the People's Alliance. Then New Brunswick Proud and this right wing, what I call internet trolls or internet bullies. It's quite interesting because there's only 750,000 people in New Brunswick, and we still can't get along. And don't forget that I mentioned in a previous podcast. There's a whole bunch of people that support white lives matter or white privilege and white racism in the Miramichi region. They fly the Confederate flag with their own pride, which is totally bizarre. I don't think the Dukes are Hazzard fans. That's why not to do it. So on this Black Lives Matter day in the Woodstock region, or Human Rights Matter, as we say, we wish everybody a good march. If anybody wants to give a like, subscribe, or a comment, please do so. But if you do make threatening comments, you will be blocked and reported because I'm a purveyor of truth. I don't deal with bullshit of white or French privilege because some Québécois, Bloc Québécois, and Parti Québécois think Canadian French are scum. I don't deal with that here. See, white supremacy is not just English; it can be French too. If you think you're better than somebody else, that's a description of white supremacy or white privilege. Anyway, have a good day. Bye.